the only video you will ever need to learn how to go from 0, 2, 3, 5, up to 10 reps. Unless you're a lazy bitch.
You will learn what the fastest method is and how to use it. And it really doesn't matter whether you are a complete beginner or experienced lifter. This shit works every time.
But first, let's clarify, is it worth it? Listen man, we're not your parents and we're not here to drag you by your hand and tell you what to do and decide for you. But since you clicked on this video, you probably already had this thought in the back of your head that it's worth it. It was absolutely worth it for me. I started from 0 pull-ups and I was probably weaker than you are right now. Honestly, it felt embarrassing and it took me a long time to change that. So if you're down, check this out.
In 1999, former Soviet Special Forces coach Pavel Tsatsouline in his book mentioned a training technique developed during the Cold War to improve the Soviet soldiers' strength and endurance. According to Pavel, strength is a skill, and like any other skill, you have to consistently practice it. When you do the same movement, your muscle fibers repeatedly receive an identical signal, which develops a more efficient neuromuscular pattern. Tsatsouline recommends training as often as possible while being as fresh as possible, which introduces the method called GTG, also well known as grease the groove.
Here are 3 steps on how you can use the grease the groove method for our main goal, pull-ups. Test your max. You need to know exactly how many pull-ups you can do right now. And when I mean max, I mean you give the same amount of effort as if the gun was pointed at your head.
Let know your son. Let know your son. Let's go. The gun is here. The gun is here. Let's go. Let's go. Up, 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 up.
This is key in order for this method to work, but make sure you're doing it with proper form, full range of motion and chin over the bar. If you cannot do a single pull-up or can barely pull one, don't worry, we have a solution for you later.
Now take that number that you got and divide it by 2. Let's imagine you got 4 pull-ups. Divided by 2, that's 2. You should know this math as of now. But what if you get 5 pull-ups and then divided by 2, which is gonna be 2.5? I would recommend just stick to this number here that you see and keep on doing the reps. However, still focus on the form, maybe even more when you have a bit less intensity. Keep in mind, try to limit the intensity to 50%. We know it's not easy for your tiny ego to handle that you cannot push to your max, to your limits. However, this is the most common mistake that people make when trying this method, and that's why they don't get the full benefits of it. Don't be dumb, stay patient. And remember this saying from Tsatsouline.
Well, it's like put money in the bank to collect it on the fight night. You guys understand? Putting money in the bank to spend it on the fight night.
And if you can't do a single pull-up, then please invest into this resistance band because it's gonna make your life easier. You can just go back to these steps and do everything as we said. And if you're one of these greedy, cheap cocksuckers that don't wanna invest into this fucking band, then do negatives. But again, remember to not get fatigued.
Practice as often as possible and choose a training frequency that fits your daily routine. But how much is too much? Start programming with 5 grease the groove sets a day and gradually add a couple more. The way you can spot you're overdoing it is by A. Joint discomfort, soreness, B. Reps going down, C. Form getting worse. The sweet spot is usually from 5 to 10 sets a day, ideally every day. Pro tip for you, just try to follow a 2-day rule. Basically, if you miss a day, come back to it next day. Just never skip 2 days in a row. And one more thing guys, don't stick to grease the groove Don't stick to grease the groove frequency that is too challenging to stick to. Don't stick to that is too fucking stick to. What the fuck? Don't start with grease the groove frequency that is too challenging to stick to, because it will increase the odds of you giving up on it. As a bonus, Powell also recommends blasting the groove. On the last rep of your greasing the groove sets, try to perform the negative part of the pull-up nice and slow, because eccentric training was shown to be more effective in promoting increases in muscle mass and strength than concentric training.
But we know what you're thinking. How can I add this to my routine and stick to it? We got you. Here's some real advice. Firstly, buy a door pull-up bar. It doesn't cost a lot. You can find one cheap on Amazon or any other site. Then do sets when you cross the door or when you go to the bathroom or every time you open the fridge. Also, you can set alarms during work or studying so you don't forget. Lastly, if you're that kind of person, use some visual reminders like sticky notes or whiteboard. Place it on the visible places so you will be constantly reminded. Optionally, you could log your sets so you know how many sets you have already done and easily track it over time. Feel free to retest your max every 2 weeks. Besides thousands of people taking advantage of this method and expressing its magic, here are our own examples. Me personally, I tried this technique a couple years ago when I wanted to increase my max pull-up reps because I was insecure about them. I tested my max, it was 17 reps. Then I started doing every time around 8 reps per day, and I got eventually to 34 pull-ups. So it was exactly the double.
Well, I also had a positive experience with Grease the Groove method. I started doing it when I was just in the beginning of my journey. And yes, I was also able to increase my pull-ups from a couple of reps up to 23 reps. And yeah, I was also using this method for other skills like handstand and front lever. That's how I also improved a lot in those skills. So this method actually works.
And by the way, we created the highly customizable training program. You can find it in the link below. It's completely free. Pull-ups are impressive and a great way to build your back. Just look at all of these calisthenics athletes. But do you want to know the downsides of calisthenics? Please watch this video up here.